What if I told you that my husband and I are on track to becoming 9 to 5 millionaires and we're doing it with just one income? You heard me right. We are a single income family and we are on track to becoming millionaires. If you want to know how we are doing this, especially in this economy, then keep watching because in this video, I'm not only going to share with you why we're a single income family, but I'm also going to share with you the exact decisions that we have made that are putting us on the path to building wealth and achieving financial freedom. But first, welcome to The Choice Life. My name is Rachel, a financial coach helping women start their journey to financial freedom. So as I said, my husband and I are on our journey to becoming 9 to 5 millionaires and achieving financial freedom. So when I say 9 to 5 millionaire, it is a term that I came up with to just describe reaching a $1 million net worth with just a 9 to 5 income. And I make this distinction because I find that a lot of people think you can only become a millionaire if you start a business, but actually you can become a millionaire with just a 9 to 5 income using simple financial principles. So I plan to make this into a series on my channel where I show you how you can become a 9 to 5 millionaire using the same plan my husband and I are following. So if you're interested in seeing more videos in this series, then put 9 to 5 millionaire in the comments. So you might be asking yourself, well, if you have this big goal to become 9 to 5 millionaires and reach financial freedom, then why do you only have one income? Wouldn't it be better to have two incomes so you can get to that goal faster? Well, that brings up a question of values, and everyone has their own values that they live by. So for my husband and I, we knew that once we started welcoming children into our family, we wanted to prioritize time and attention to our children. So for us, it made the most sense, and it was according to our values that I stay home with our little one. So what does that decision cost us? Well, that means that it's going to take us more time to reach our goal of financial freedom. It also means that we're not going on a ton of vacations every year, or we're not wearing designer clothes or driving new cars. Also, we aren't going out to eat multiple times a week, so I cook most days. So this decision based on our values for me to be able to stay home is costing us. But I gladly sacrifice all of these things for the privilege of being able to stay home with my baby girl. So I find that when your values change, your expectations and your desires change with them. So yes, we desire to reach financial freedom, but not at the expense of our values. So if that means that it takes us longer to reach financial freedom, then that's fine with us. So that is why we're a single income family. And now I want to share with you the 4 key decisions that we have made that are helping us along our journey to reaching financial freedom while only having one income. The first key decision is living off of one income. Okay, so we weren't always a one income family. We became a one income family last year when we had our daughter. But before that, we had both of our incomes. So before I got married to my husband, I was already on a financial freedom journey, and I had already started thinking differently about money and the purpose of money. And so when we got married, we made the decision to live off of one income. Even though I had my own income, we decided to form our life and our expenses around just my husband's income. So this was such a huge benefit for us because it automatically allowed us to save all of my income. And Elizabeth Warren wrote a book it's called The 2 Income Trap. And basically the concept is when you have 2 incomes, that's more disposable income that you can use to inflate your lifestyle rather than using that extra money to save, pay down debt, or invest. When you have more money coming in, you feel like, oh, well, okay, yeah, we can afford this more expensive house, or we can afford this more expensive car, or all of our kids can be in travel sports, we can afford it. So your lifestyle inflates. And so even though you have 2 incomes, you feel, squeezed and living paycheck to paycheck. That's something that we did not want. I did not want to inflate our lifestyle to fit both of our incomes where we could not save money or invest. So when we got married, we decided that we're just going to budget off of my husband's income, and then all of the income that I bring in, we'll just save. So because we decided to live off of one income, when we decided we were ready to buy a house, we looked for homes that were affordable for just my husband's income because we didn't want to be house poor. we didn't want our mortgage to be so high that we didn't have disposable income to invest or save. We didn't want to have two incomes to live, because like I said, our value was that when we start having children, I wanted to be able to stay home. So if we set up a lifestyle where we needed both of our incomes, how am I going to be able to stay home? Like, that just doesn't make any sense. So you have to make decisions early on so that in the future you can make the choices that you want to make. So that's what we did. When we bought our house, we bought well below our means, and we bought a house that wasn't stretching my husband's income either. It was a house well within the budget for just his income. And the reason that we did that was because I didn't want, as a wife, I didn't want my husband being so stressed out at work, but knowing that he could not leave that job because we needed all of that income in order to pay our mortgage. That's a huge burden for any, primary earner to have on their shoulders. So I absolutely did not want to put that high pressure on my husband. So I wanted to make sure that whatever home we bought well below our means. The second decision was to not increase our lifestyle as our income increased. So as our income increased, whether it be through raises or bonuses or promotions, we kept our expenses exactly the same. So whenever we would get a lump sum of money, say like a bonus or a tax refund, we would not immediately spend it. The first thing we would do is look at our financial goals. We would look at, okay, how much do we want to invest? So usually bonuses and tax refunds come, the beginning of the year. And so we always try to fully fund our Roth IRAs as early in the year as we can. So that's usually where we're going to earmark that money. Okay, let's fully fund both of our Roth IRAs. And then we'll look at, okay, what other financial goals do we have? Like, one thing that we do, we don't escrow for our mortgage. So we pay our property taxes and our homeowners insurance ourselves. So we save throughout the year to write those checks later in the year. So we'll say, okay, how much needs to go to our escrow sinking fund? So we'll put some there. Do we need to put anything in the car fund? Because we, are always saving for a new car, or just putting away money for car repairs. Do we need to put anything in the house fund for house maintenance and house repairs? We look at all of our savings goals and we see where can that money go. The third decision was to avoid debt. So for our goal to reach financial freedom and to become 9 to 5 millionaires, we want to achieve a net worth of at least $1 million. And in order to do that, we are striving to avoid debt. So we currently have our mortgage, that's our only debt, and that is a goal of ours, to pay down our mortgage, because debt is a negative to your net worth. It pulls down your net worth. So anything that we can do to avoid debt, we will do. So for example, we're in the process of looking for a new to us family car, and our goal is to pay for it in cash. We are not financing or leasing any car. And in order to do that, that means that we're going to have to buy a used car. We're not going to buy a new car because new car prices are ridiculous. And honestly, used car prices have been ridiculous the past few years since the pandemic. But we have been planning for this for the past couple years. So we have money saved in order for this purchase. So I would encourage you, if you currently have debt, make a plan to pay it off. And if you need help with that, I do have a link in my description box with a debt payoff calculator that I used that I loved when I was paying off debt. So you can click the link in the description box and use that calculator, and you can, compare the debt avalanche method with the debt snowball method. And I also have a video about how to use that calculator, and I'll link it up here somewhere. So you can follow that video and it'll show you how to use the calculator. But make getting out of debt a priority for you. because debt is a thief and it is slowing you down from reaching financial freedom if that's your goal. Decision number 4, we're continuing to tithe. So my husband and I are Christians, and it is a belief of ours and a value that our money is not ours. God owns all things and he owns our money, and we're just stewards of it. So in order to be a good steward of our money, we believe in tithing 10% to our local church. You probably weren't expecting this topic to be a part of what's getting us to financial freedom, but I absolutely believe that us continuing to tithe our money to our local church plays a huge part in our financial success. Now, of course, we're not tithing just because we think we're going to get something. No, we're tithing out of obedience. But I do believe that the Lord rewards obedience, and he also rewards when you trust him with what he's given you. So this is how my husband and I are paving our path to financial freedom and becoming 9 to 5 millionaires. And if you would like to see more videos in this 9 to 5 millionaire series, then just put 9 to 5 millionaire in the comments below. And if you like conversations like this, then click this video next to keep the conversation going. And I'll see you there.